Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to unpack complex topics and really get to the core ideas.
And today, we're tackling something I think everyone experiences, those moments that just feel, well, too strange to be chance. Coincidences.
Exactly. Like that story from Paul Broks in The Guardian. He dreamt his mother's friend Rose died.
Right. And then, weeks later, finds out she actually died on that exact day. It gives you chills.
It really does. Or Amy Patchell seeing that license plate after her father died with numbers matching all their family dates. Wow.
Yeah, these things really stick with you.
They absolutely do. And I think many of us feel that tension, right? Part of you thinks, okay, it's just random. But another part feels that little pull, that sort of strange and magical vibe Brock's mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
So our mission today is to explore that. Are coincidences just statistical quirks? Do they hold some deeper meaning? Or is it, all in our heads?
We'll be looking at it from all angles, personal stories, philosophical ideas, and what science tells us, drawing on the sources you shared.
Okay, let's dive in. That personal feeling, it can seem almost supernatural, can't it?
Definitely. Brox himself talked about his rose dream, wrestling with it. Was it a spirit? Or just, quote, sheer coincidence?
And he admitted he preferred the rational explanation, but he still felt that other possibility.
Yeah, that feeling is powerful. It taps into something deep, maybe that magical thinking aspect of how we make sense of things, how we build our sense of self even.
It's true, and coincidences trigger that. It's not always heavy stuff, though. I liked Brox's other story.
Oh, the broken arm.
Yeah. He breaks his arm tripping on a curb. Years later, different context, he buys a heavy chair, drops it in the exact same spot.
And the chair's arm splinters. It's almost like a cosmic joke, that one.
Right. Playful, almost. But then you get the other end of the spectrum.
Like the John Bonham gravestone story, that's much darker.
Yeah, the journalist John Harris visiting the Led Zeppelin drummer's grave.
And the photographer getting scooped by a black dog appearing, peeing on the stone, then vanishing. Of course, the famous song.
Black Dog. Yeah. It highlights that emotional range, doesn't it? From kind of funny to genuinely unsettling, or macabre, as the source put it.
It absolutely does. And that strong emotion seems tied to how uncanny we find it.
So, okay, it's a broad category, coincidence. How do we start breaking it down beyond just saying, that was weird?
Well, the sources give us a couple of useful terms. First, there's serendipity. Think happy accidents, timely discoveries you weren't planning on.
Okay, serendipity. Got it.
And then there's seriality. This was a big focus for Paul Kammerer, a biologist back in the 20th century who was obsessed with collecting coincidences.
A coincidence collector. Sounds like a hobby.
Apparently. He defined seriality as a sort of lawful recurrence. Similar things or events cropping up together in time or space, beyond what you'd expect from chance.
Okay, that's clear. Serendipity, happy accident. Seriality, recurring patterns. Can you give us a really good example of serendipity?
Oh, the Anthony Hopkins story is a classic. He needed a specific book for a role. The girl from Petrovka couldn't find it anywhere in London. Gives up. Then, walking through Leicester Square Station, he spots a book abandoned on a bench.
Don't tell me.
Yeah, it's the book. But wait, it gets better. It turns out to be the author's own annotated copy, George Pfeiffer, that Pfeiffer himself had lost.
No way. That's
Yeah.
that's almost unbelievable. The
Yeah.
timing, the specific copy.
Exactly, pure serendipity.
Yeah.
A timely, completely unplanned, but incredibly fortunate discovery.
Okay, wow. And for seriality, that lawful recurrence idea.
The Wizard of Oz story is a great illustration. Frank Morgan, the actor playing Professor Marvel, needed a coat.
Mm-hmm.
Wardrobe finds this slightly tatty but distinguished-looking Prince Albert coat in a thrift shop. Fits him perfectly. Later, Morgan apparently finds a label inside,
Say,
made by Herman Bros. Expressly for L. Frank Baum.
the author of the Wizard of Oz
It's
books.
the very same. Baum had been dead 20 years. His widow supposedly even confirmed it was his coat. That unexpected link, that recurrence across time, that seriality.
That is uncanny. And Kammerer, the collector, he tracked loads of these, even small stuff.
Oh, yeah. Meticulously. Our sources mention him, noting down things like concert ticket numbers matching cloakroom numbers on consecutive days for his brother-in-law. Seat 9, ticket 9 one day, seat 21, ticket 21 the next. Mind-numbingly trivial, maybe, but he documented it all.
Interesting that he took it so seriously.
Well, and here's a kicker. Albert Einstein apparently read Kammerer's book on seriality.
Einstein. Really?
Yeah, and found it original and by no means absurd.
Wow. Okay, if Einstein's paying attention.
Right. He kind of hints that maybe there's something more than just random chance going on, or at least that the patterns themselves are intriguing. And that brings us towards this idea of a third way to look at coincidences.
The third way. beyond just chance or something else.
Exactly, a kind of supernatural stance, as one source puts it, which leads us straight into Carl Jung.
Ah, Jung. And synchronicity.
Precisely. Jung's concept of meaningful coincidence, he saw it as a causal connecting principle.
A causal, meaning not cause and effect.
Exactly. The connection isn't that one event caused the other. The connection is in the meaning they share, their significance to the person experiencing them.
Okay. And he worked on this with a physicist. That seems like an odd pairing.
It does, but it was Wolfgang Pauli, a Nobel laureate. Pauli was grappling with really weird stuff in quantum physics, like quantum entanglement.
Entanglement.
Yeah.
That's where two particles stay connected, even over vast distances, right? Measure one, and you instantly know something about the other.
Spot on. And Pauli thought maybe synchronicity is a clue. Maybe it points to a similar kind of deep, non-causal connection, but operating between, say, the mind and the physical world.
Whoa. So that's the Pauli-Jung conjecture, is trying to bridge mind and matter.
That's the core idea. They proposed that maybe mind and matter aren't fundamentally separate things. Maybe they're like two sides of a deeper underlying reality.
A unified reality.
They called it the unus mundus, the unitary world. The idea is that this deeper unity could allow for these meaningful causal connections, synchronicities to manifest.
That is a pretty profound thought. Jung had a famous story to illustrate this, didn't he? The beetle.
Ah, yes, the golden scarab. Classic synchronicity example. He had a patient, very rational, very stuck. She's telling him about a dream she had involving a golden scarab.
Okay.
And just then, Jung hears a tapping sound at the window behind him. He turns, opens the window, and in flies a beetle. Not a literal scarab, but a rose chafer beetle, which is visually quite similar and the closest thing locally.
And that actually happened.
According to Jung, yes. And for the patient, this bizarre, timely event was apparently a breakthrough. It shattered her rigid rationality and opened her up therapeutically.
You can see how that would have a huge impact. It feels significant, even if you can't explain why.
Exactly. That's the essence of synchronicity. The meaning is in the experience.
Okay, but let's shift gears. Because contemporary cognitive science offers, well, a less mystical explanation, right? More secure, if less colorful, as one source says.
Right. The cognitive science view really focuses on our brains. Essentially, we are pattern seekers by nature.
Born that way.
Born that way. Our brains are constantly sifting through sensory input, trying to find order, predict what comes next, figure out cause and effect. It's crucial for survival.
So coincidences are just a side effect of that pattern-seeking drive?
Largely, yes. We're so good at finding patterns, sometimes we find them even when they aren't really there, statistically speaking.
And that's where things like cognitive biases come in. We're not great judges of probability.
Not intuitively, no. We often underestimate how likely seemingly rare events actually are, and this can lead to apophenia, seeing meaningful connections between things that are actually unrelated.
Right, finding patterns in randomness.
And this ties into what statistician David Hand calls the improbability principle.
The improbability principle.
Okay, what's that?
It basically says that events we think are incredibly improbable actually happen all the time. They're commonplace.
How can extremely improbable events be commonplace? That sounds like a contradiction. It does. But it's about sheer scale. Think of the law of truly large numbers. Given enough opportunities, enough people, enough time, enough events happening all over the world, any seemingly outrageous thing becomes likely to happen somewhere, sometime, to someone.
Okay, I see. The sheer number of chances makes the improbable probable eventually.
Exactly. The classic example is the birthday problem.
Yeah, I think I've heard of this. You only need, 23 people in a room?
Just 23 people, and there's already a better than 50% chance that two of them share the same birthday.
Which feels way too low when you first hear it. Our intuition fails us there.
Completely. We think you'd need hundreds of people.
And Hand applies this logic to Amy Patterall's license plate story too, right? The one with all the family dates.
He does. He points out that we find it striking because we're open to many numbers being significant. It wasn't just her dad's birthday that would have caught her eye.
I see. It could have been her mom's birthday, her own, their anniversary, maybe the kids' birthdays, any number of significant dates.
Precisely. So the pool of numbers that would feel meaningful is actually quite large. When one of them pops up, it feels like a miracle. But statistically, the odds of some meaningful number appearing are much higher than we assume.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like that frequency illusion to the Bader-Meinhof thing.
Yeah, where you learn a new word or notice a type of car, and suddenly you see it everywhere. It was probably always there, but now you're primed to notice it.
Right, your attention filter changed.
And another layer here is individual differences. Some people seem more prone to noticing or being affected by coincidences.
Like who?
Well, research suggests people higher in schizotypy, which involves traits like unusual thinking patterns, sometimes magical ideation, a bit like mild psychosis symptoms, tend to report more coincidences.
Okay, so a different way of processing patterns, maybe.
Potentially.
Oh, yeah.
Also, people with strong religious or spiritual beliefs, or even people going through stressful times, might be more attuned to seeking meaning and therefore notice these alignments more readily.
So it's this mix. Our basic brain wiring, the laws of probability playing out on a massive scale, and our own personal viewpoints and experiences.
That seems to be the picture cognitive science paints.
But then there's this other idea from the sources that you can actually cultivate coincidences? Not magically, but how does that work?
Yeah, it's less about making them happen supernaturally and more about increasing your awareness of them, changing your perception and how you engage with the world.
Okay, so how do you do that? What are the tips?
Well, first, simply pay attention. Be more mindful, more open. Notice the little things you might normally filter out.
Makes sense. Be present.
Second, talk to strangers. Sounds simple, but unexpected conversations are fertile ground for discovering surprising connections, shared histories, things like that.
Yeah, you never know who you'll meet or what link you might find.
Third, actively seek meaning. When something unusual happens, ask yourself, can I make some meaning from this? Even if it's just a personal, subjective meaning, it encourages engagement.
So it's about interpretation, not necessarily destiny.
Exactly. And finally, write it down. Keep a journal or a log of the coincidences you notice. The act of recording them reinforces your awareness and makes you even more likely to spot future ones.
Interesting. It's like training your brain to notice them more.
Sort of tuning your perception, yeah.
So bringing this all together, it's quite a journey, isn't it? We start with these deeply personal, almost mystical feelings when coincidences happen.
That gut feeling that something is going on.
Right. Then we explore these grand theories like synchronicity, the idea of a causal connections, and a unified reality.
Which are fascinating, if hard to prove.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And then we land on the scientific view. Our pattern-hungry brains, cognitive biases, and the sheer mathematical inevitability of weird stuff happening when you have billions of people interacting over time.
The improbability principle in action. Extremely improbable events are actually commonplace.
It seems like both sides, the experiential, meaningful side and the rational, statistical side, they both add something to understanding this, don't they?
I think so. One explains the mechanics, perhaps, while the other speaks to the impact these events have on us. The world is complex, improbable things happen, and how we perceive them is shaped by who we are.
Let's go back to Paul Brock's one last time, that final story he tells. Reading about Jung's scarab, and then a golden beetle lands on his chair and plays dead.
Yeah, and then connecting it later to hearing about an acquaintance named Zoe dying by suicide and remembering the King Midas myth his daughter Zoe turned to gold.
Even though he acknowledges the rational bits beetles play dead, they're common where he lives, he still says it felt profoundly weird. That emotional resonance remained despite the explanations.
The feeling persisted.
So here's the thought to leave you with. If David Hanna's right, if extremely improbable events are commonplace, how does knowing that change how you react the next time something uncanny happens? Do you lean into the math, the rational brain? Do you search for Jungian meaning? Or do you just embrace the weirdness, that lingering feeling Brock's described, something to ponder?